Hi, welcome to Rochester Works. My name is Paula Roth. I'm on the job search team, and today I'm here with our workshop specialist, Annie Walker. Today's presentation will focus on the different styles of resumes, when you should use them, and why you would use a particular style. Many people are trying to craft their resume today or fine-tune it. So Annie, what exactly will we be covering today?
Many people are in a situation where they really haven't done any type of resume for a long time, and they're not aware that now there's different type of resume styles. And the couple of resume styles we're going to be covering are going to focus in on the chronological resume that people are really most familiar with. We're also going to touch base on the functional, or some people talk to it as a combo functional resume. And we're going to end up by helping people understand what they need to look at to choose the correct resume for the particular job that they're going for at that particular time.
So Annie, you mentioned some different resume styles. Can you give us an idea of what those are and when we might use it?
One of the things that people may not be aware of is that you no longer put all your entire work history on your resume. You go back about 11 to 15 years. But there's something called a master resume that lists all of your work history. And it's something that we really suggest that people start out with, because it gives them a good base as they try and go on and have resumes that are actually tailored to a particular job. However, there are certain jobs that really will require a master resume. If you're working with a staffing agency or a recruiter, they're going to ask for a master resume. They're going to want to know, as your advocate, when everything you've done, so that they can really get a good picture. If you have a certain type of job position, a doctor, an academician or a teacher, a lawyer, anything of that level, a C-level manager, a chief operating officer, etc., you're going to be using a master for that type of work. So when you start out with a master, it's a good base. And you also may run into an employer, because we have so many small businesses that just may say, I'd like to see your whole work history. So that's a good place to start. And your master resume is really done in a chronological format. And a chronological format is the one that most people are familiar with. It starts with a little bit about your summary of qualifications. It also really is more focused on what your job history has been from your last job back down. So it's going to go backwards. For people, and that's used for people that maybe want to stay in the same field, that is going to flow better for someone looking that gets a good picture of what they've been doing. They've been doing the same type of work. But we also have a lot of people that might be coming back and have a gap in their work history. They might have been to school. They might have been a stay-at-home mom. They might have been doing some work outside of their field due to the economic conditions, and they're coming back in. And so they really are not going to flow well in a chronological format. So we would have them use a functional or a combo functional format that really speaks to what they were doing and their skills, and then follows on with their work history. And we're going to go into more detail of that as we go forward.
Annie, most people are familiar, I think, with the chronological resume. So can you give us an idea of the breakdown of it?
I always say the memo got changed a little bit. And if you take a look at the chronological resume, you have to have the appropriate format. You want a summary that talks about your skills, that's tailored to the job you're going for. You want really good accomplishment bullets that don't speak to not only what you did, but how what you did made an impact on the organization. And you want to take all of that and customize it for each position that you're going for. So I want to take a little bit more in-depth look at what that template looks like. As you can see, I put up a blank template here. I think it's helpful to take a look and see how it rolls out. The normal header people are used to, though it's a good thing to remember that you're going to want to include your area code because we have several in this area and you may have several in whatever area you live in. That your email is an email that is current. So you, for example, maybe Gmail and not so much of an AOL mail, and that if you can possibly have your name in there so that it's more conducive to being able to connect with you, that's helpful. You wouldn't want something like redhotcorvette@yahoo.com to be up there. Your summary of qualifications is really about who you are and what you have to offer the work environment. And so where we used to have an objective, you now have your objective really is your job title. And that goes right in the summary. And you align in that summary the skill sets that you're bringing for that job title. And you specifically will customize in here what are the things that they're looking for around that job title and the position that you're going for. We've also put in underneath some things that might be optional. Some people will have these, some people will not. If you're bilingual or multilingual, you're going to want to include that in your summary. You're going to want people to know that. And you're going to want to tell them exactly how you can do that language. Can you speak it? Can you read it? Can you understand it? What technical skills are you bringing? Whether it's computer skills, whether it's IT skills, whether it's some other type of technical skills, they should be really up in the summary. If you need a particular license to do the work that you do, if you need a particular certification to do the work that you do, all of this is information that is what I call above the crease. It's above the thumb. If I folded this in half, that's what people are going to see. They're only reading resumes for about 45 seconds. If they like what they read, they'll continue on. You're then going to follow in with your professional experience. You're going to put your most recent first, and you're really going to highlight in bold your job title and the year to year that you work there. You're not going to highlight the employer because this is some way where they're going to quickly look at your resume and be able to see what job titles did you hold, what years did you work, what consistent work history did you have. Your job title should be something that people can relate to. So if you have a job title that you think is specific to your past employer, have it be a job title that people are going to understand. And under that job title, it's more of an accomplishment-based resume. So you might have one statement that's a positioning statement, not about so much of the tasks that you did, but what was the value that you brought to the company? What was an overall view of what it is that you brought to that organization? And you're going to follow that up by giving them a list of up to 6 accomplishments of what did you do, how did you use your skills, and what results did you get? And quantify it anytime you can be able to do that. You'll continue doing that for about 11 to 15 years. And in some cases, people would like to be able to say, gee, there's something I've got that goes back longer than that I want them to really know and understand that it would make a difference in this particular job. And that's fine. You would just put other relevant work experience after that last job title and just include in your employer, your city, your state, the job title, and maybe a bullet around that, and you wouldn't put the year in. You'll follow that up by doing your education and your professional development. And we've got a couple ways that we can go there. Again, once you get the template out and the formatting done, it's easy to customize. If you've been in the workforce for a while, your education really belongs after your work history because the concern of the upcoming employer is going to be over your work history. You're going to put in your highest degree first, and you're going to bold your degree. You're going to put down your years only if you graduated in the last 5 years. You're also going to include training and workshops provided by employers and other agencies, but you're going to put the ones in that align with the job you're going for. So on a master, you'll have a lot, but on what you're putting for an employer, you might have just ones that really align with what you're going for. In some cases, you might have just graduated. And if you have just graduated in a new field, and we have many people doing that nowadays, you're going to take your education and position it after your summary because you want people to understand that your most recent job experience may not be related to what you just got certified for, And you'll also then be able to include any internships, any type of other experience, school experience in your professional experience, so they can get an understanding of what you're bringing to the table. We also have many people that run into the overqualified issue. In that case, what we encourage people to do is take a look at what they're really asking for in the job posting. And if they're asking for a bachelor's degree, for example, and you have a master's degree, you may want to consider not putting it on that resume. This resume, as are all resumes, are really sales brochures. Are you giving them exactly what they need? Don't give them a Cadillac if they want a Chevy. The other things you can follow up with would be things like any awards you've gotten, especially if you're in the sales industry or if you've got customer service awards and you're applying for that type. You want them to know that. We are very appreciative of our military service, and so are all of our employers. So military is a separate category. You simply have to put in your branch of service, the highest rank, honorable discharge, and if you've got a particular security clearance, put that in there. We give credit and we give preference to our military, as well we should. So you want to include that in. It shows leadership. Depending on what type of work you do, you might belong to a professional organization, such as an engineer would belong to a professional engineering association. You want to put that in there. And don't forget community or volunteer activities. These aren't hobbies. These are the community and volunteer activities you've done. You're going to want to put those in, especially if they show life skills that are useful and good transferable skills. So really what they're getting here is an entire picture of what you've done in your history for the past 11 years and all the skills, both those that are directly related to the job and your life transferable skills that you've got that are going to make you the best employee that they can have. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at an actual example to see if we can clarify questions that our clients might have as they're looking at this. We've got our friend Mary here, Mary Contrary, and Mary is a mortgage professional. That's her objective. That's what she does. That's her job title. And she says that. She gives a couple traits around the fact that she's dedicated, she's self-motivated, and she talks in the terms that will be understood in her industry. Okay. She also gives some really good bullets in her summary that talks about how she would use some of the criteria that are needed in the job that she does. And she gives some good examples about doing that. She happens to be a notary public, which in her field, in the banking industry, is a plus. She's going to call that out there for her. As you can go down, you're going to see that she very nicely put in good accomplishment bullets. She put in some years. She put in some quantifying results. And she went down and showed how she transitioned throughout her career into greater levels of responsibility. She followed up at the end with her education and her professional development. She talked about her degree. She bolded that. And she also looked at and shared in bold some of the additional professional development classes that she took. Some of them are directly related to what she does. Some of them are transitional skills, such as the public speaking for professionals. But she now has given somebody a very good outlook on what she's done, her consistency, how she's built her skills, and they can really understand how she can use those skills in their organization. And that's really what this is all about.
Can we go into the functional resume and what the differences might be between that and the chronological resume?
As you can see, the same thing that applies to a chronological will apply to a functional resume. We still need to have an appropriate format. We still need to have a tailored summary. We still need to have good accomplishment statements, but we also need to customize it for each position. The main difference between a functional resume is that we focus on competencies. What are your skills? What are you bringing into the organization rather than where you worked and what you did at other organizations? And so let's take a look at that template and see how that differs from the chronological template. Let's take a look at the template for a functional resume. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities. We still have our summary of qualifications, but we might have added in this summary of qualifications maybe some transferable skills that we didn't have in our other type of resume, because it's going to speak more to how we're going to follow in this particular role. And then down below, instead of work history, you're going to see something that's called highlights of accomplishments. And now we're going to focus in on our competencies, on what skill sets we're bringing to the organization. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those accomplishment bullets, those skills that we've used, the results that we've gotten, and we're going to put them underneath the competencies that we can find when we're looking at a particular job posting. What are the area of skill sets they're looking for, and what have we done in that area, and really define that out for the future employer so they can get a good picture of how we're going to meet their need. And we didn't lose our work history. It's still there. It follows our highlights of accomplishments. We still have where we worked in our job title, and we still have that one positioning statement that talks about the value we brought to the position. But all of that accomplishment bullets have now been realigned, so that's the first thing that a future employer will look at, so they can really get a picture of how we can fit into the new role we're trying to go for. If you'll take a look at what Mary's doing now and what her resume is looking like now as a functional, we're going to start out with her summary of qualifications. She's now going for a business office professional position. And what she's done is she's taking her skill sets that aligns with that type of position, and she's positioned them up into the summary of qualifications to help the employer understand what she's bringing to the table. She's highlighted things like her computer skills and her financial skills using Quicken and QuickBooks. She's got the fact that she's a licensed notary public up there. She's got things that would really align in a position as a business office professional. And she carries that skill set down under highlights of qualifications, where she's taken a look at the actual job posting and determined that the competencies that they're looking for are under 3 separate categories: administrative, customer service, and management. And she has then taken her accomplishment bullets and put them under the appropriate category to really define a very good flow, so that her potential employer is going to take a look and say, yes, this person really does have the skills and has used those skills effectively in the past. She still does have her professional experience, but it's changed a little bit. She's going to talk about where she worked, and she's going to put that one-liner in that gives the value that she added to the company. But what she didn't do is she did not confuse the potential employer by putting in job titles that may not align with what she's going for. They now can effectively see what she can do and what skill set she's bringing to the table. And she backs up her work history and her consistency by putting that under her professional experience. She'll also continue on and add her education, her training, and anything else that she feels would be of value and going to bring her to be a candidate of choice for that potential employer.
Annie, I can definitely see the difference between, constructing a functional resume and a chronological resume. But can you give me an idea of which one I should use and why I would use that one?
Sure, Paula. I know sometimes it gets confusing, but now that you've seen both of them and you understand really what their value is in each particular format, I think the question that you need to ask is primarily, how do you show value to the employer? Is the style of resume you're using showing the value to your employer and how your skills are going to align with the position you're applying for? Is the resume easy to read? Does it speak really clearly of your skills and your abilities so they can understand what you're bringing to the table? If you have a background that is in alignment with the position you're going for, if your work history is consistent and without gaps, if you're staying in the same field, then a chronological resume is probably a good choice for you. It's going to very easily let that employer take a look at how your skills not only fit their need, but how your work history has really backed up what those skills are. And they're going to be able to look at that flow and be able to really clearly see that, so they can call you in and talk about that. If you happen to have gaps in your work history, if you happen to be changing careers, which many of our current people are doing, if your professional experience doesn't align with your current job search and you're trying to go back to another field, but you really do have the skills that will help that, then a functional resume may be the way that is going to best help you align your skills so that that is what managers can see when they're looking at resumes. Because the bottom line on a resume is about your skill set and what you bring to the table. People are losing positions, but they're not losing their skill sets. And what we're trying to help them do is be able to build a really good sales brochure, to be able to help people understand potential employers very quickly and very clearly what skills they've got and how it's going to align with the jobs they're going for. And offering the different styles is going to help people in different situations be able to identify more clearly and connect more easily with potential employers. Someone like yourself may have both. The answer you have to ask yourself at the end of the day is, have I correctly and adequately represented myself to an employer so they will understand when I'm going to bring value to their company?
Thank you so much for joining us today for our Crafting the Perfect Resume webcast. To learn more about Rochester Works and the services we offer, you can find us on the web at rochesterworks.org. We also have 2 conveniently located career centers. There's no appointment necessary. You can call or just stop in. Please feel free to give us a call for hours and days we are open. Thanks again for your time, and we wish you all the best for a successful job search.